All right, let's dive even deeper into the low-latitude steppe climate beach to make it crystal clear. What is the low-latitude steppe climate? Imagine a place that's not as dry as a desert, but also not as rainy as a forest. This is the steppe climate. It's a semi-dry, semi-arid region that gets a little bit of rain, just enough to grow some plants, but not enough to grow forests. This climate is often found on the edges of deserts, so it's like a transition zone, a middle area between very dry deserts and wetter, greener regions. Where is this climate found? Location: the steppe climate is usually found between 15 degrees to 35 degrees latitude, both north and south of the equator. That means it's often located near the edges of hot deserts. Examples: edge of the Sahara Desert in North Africa, around the Thar Desert in India and Pakistan, southern United States, like Texas, and parts of Central Asia. So think of these places as semi-dry borders around deserts. Why does the steppe climate get some rain? 1. Shifting winds and pressure. Throughout the year, the pressure systems, zones of high or low pressure, and wind belts shift slightly with the seasons. In steppe areas, these shifts sometimes bring in rainy winds or small storms that bring a bit of rain. However, this rain is usually short-lived and doesn't last the whole year. Number 2, short rainy season. There is usually a short period in the year when the steppe gets rain. During this time, plants and grasses grow quickly. Once this rainy period ends, the climate goes back to being dry for most of the year. So the rain in the steppe climate is seasonal and limited. Why is the rainfall so low in the steppe climate? 1. High pressure zones. The steppe climate is influenced by high pressure systems. These high pressure zones are found in subtropical regions between 15 degrees and 35 degrees latitude. High pressure means the air is pushed downwards, which prevents clouds from forming and keeps the weather dry and clear. 2. More evaporation than rain. Evaporation, when water turns to vapor and leaves the ground, happens faster than rain can replace it in these areas. This makes the steppe climate drier overall, even though it's not as dry as a desert. Vegetation in the low-latitude steppe climate. Because the steppe climate gets only a bit of rain, plants have to adapt to survive with less water. 1. Types of plants, mostly grasses and small shrubs. These are plants that don't need much water to survive. You won't find tall trees or thick forests here. 2. Adaptations of plants. Many plants have deep roots to reach water stored deep in the ground. They might have small or waxy leaves to prevent water loss. Some plants, like cactus, if near a desert, can store water in their stems to use during dry periods. 3. Quick growth during rainy season. When the short rainy season comes, plants grow quickly. Once the rain stops, they slow down or go dormant, a kind of pause in growth until the next rainy season. Animal life in the steppe. Climate animals living in the steppe climate have adapted to survive in semi-dry conditions. 1. Types of animals. You'll find herbivores, plant eaters like antelopes, wild horses and rabbits. They graze on the grasses. Predators like wolves or foxes hunt these herbivores for food. 2. Adaptations of animals. Many animals in the steppe are active at dawn or dusk to avoid the heat of the day. Some animals burrow, dig holes in the ground to stay cool and avoid the dry heat. Animals tend to be smaller in size in these areas, which helps them conserve energy and water. How does the steppe climate compare to other climates? 1. Compared to deserts. Deserts are drier and get almost no rain, whereas the steppe climate gets a small amount of seasonal rain. Deserts have even fewer plants and animals because they lack water almost completely. 2. Compared to humid areas like forests get lots of rain throughout the year, allowing large plants and trees to grow. The steppe climate gets some rain, but not enough for tall plants or a lot of green cover. Summary of low-latitude steppe climate. 1. Location, transition zone between deserts and wetter regions, typically found around the edges of deserts like the Sahara. 2. Rainfall, low, seasonal rain that comes for a short time and is not consistent. 3. Vegetation, mostly grasses and shrubs with special adaptations for conserving water. 4. Animal life. Animals adapted to dry conditions, often small and able to live in burrows. This low-latitude steppe climate is like a semi-dry middle ground, a bit of rain but not enough to be lush or green all year. It has just enough water to support some tough, adaptable plants and animals, making it a unique environment between deserts and wetter lands. All right, let's break down the low-latitude steppe climate and its distribution in the simplest, clearest way possible. Understanding the low-latitude steppe climate's distribution. First, remember that steppe climates are semi-dry regions. They are not as dry as deserts, but they also don't get much rain. Low-latitude steppe climates are mostly found near deserts and in places with hot temperatures. These climates are located north and south of major tropical deserts around the world. Let's go through each major region where this climate is found. 1. Africa. Africa is one of the continents where low-latitude steppe climates are very common. North of the Sahara Desert, this region stretches from Morocco to Tunisia, also found around Benghazi in Libya. South of the Sahara Desert, found from Dakar in Senegal, West Africa, all the way to Ethiopia in the east, also present in parts of Kenya and Somaliland. Southwest Africa, Botswana and Western Rhodesia, modern-day Zimbabwe, have large areas of steppe climate. Example, imagine the Sahara Desert as a very dry centre, like the centre of a donut. The steppe climate areas lie around the edges of the Sahara, like the donut's ring. This gives these areas some rain, but not much. 2. Eurasia, Europe and Asia. In Eurasia, low-latitude steppe climates are common near desert areas. Around the Iranian desert, found in Afghanistan and in areas north and south of Iran. Anatolia Plateau in Turkey. This high, dry region has a steppe climate as well. Thar Desert, India and Pakistan, the areas surrounding the Thar Desert also have steppe climates. Peninsular India has some steppe climates in rain shadow areas, meaning places blocked from rain by nearby mountains. Example, picture Iran and Afghanistan. These areas are mostly dry with nearby deserts, so they have a semi-dry steppe climate around them. The same goes for places near the Thar Desert in India. 3. South America. In South America, there are several low-latitude steppe areas, mostly around deserts and dry regions. Northeastern Brazil, some parts of Brazil, especially in the northeast, have steppe climates. Coastal Venezuela, some areas along the coast have a steppe climate. Argentina, leeward side of the Andes Mountains, in parts of Argentina to the east of the Andes Mountains where mountains block rain, there's a steppe climate. Example, think of the Andes Mountains as a big wall. On one side, the leeward side of the Andes, rain is blocked, so that area is drier, creating steppe climates. Number 4, North America. In North America, low-latitude steppe climates are also found in semi-dry areas, often near mountains or deserts. Central Valley of California. This valley is known for its semi-dry steppe climate. Southern Kansas, found in central parts of the United States, especially in states like Kansas. Central Mexico. Some areas in the center of Mexico also have steppe climates. Example, think of California's Central Valley. It's not as dry as a desert, but it also doesn't get much rain. This makes it perfect for crops that don't need a lot of water, which is common in steppe regions.
5. Australia.
Australia has large areas with steppe climates. Around the Great Australian Desert, the steppe climate surrounds the desert, especially to the east. Example, picture the Australian desert as a big dry centre with a ring of steppe climate around it. This ring doesn't get as dry as the desert, but it still has limited rain. Why are steppe climates found in these regions? 1. Near deserts. Low-latitude steppe climates are often found near deserts, which are very dry, so the steppe climates get some rain, but not enough for lush forests or lots of vegetation. 2. Rain-blocking mountains. In some places, mountains block rain on one side, creating a dry steppe climate on that side, called the rain shadow side. For example, this happens in Argentina with the Andes Mountains and in peninsular India. 3. Dry air and high pressure. Because these areas are located between tropical zones and humid zones, they experience dry air with high pressure, limiting rainfall and creating semi-arid conditions.
Quick summary: Africa.
The Sahara Desert, around the Sahara Desert in North Africa and parts of Southwest Africa. Eurasia near deserts in Iran, Afghanistan, Turkey, and around the Thar Desert in India. South America, parts of Brazil, Venezuela, and Argentina, east of the Andes. North America, Central Valley in California, southern Kansas, and central Mexico. Australia, surrounding the Great Australian Desert. In each of these places, the low-latitude steppe climate acts like a border around deserts. It's semi-dry with some rain, but it doesn't get enough to be very green. These areas support tough plants, like grasses, and animals adapted to dry conditions, creating unique ecosystems in each part of the world. All right, let's break this down in the simplest way possible. Understanding rainfall in low-latitude steppe climates. 1. More rain than deserts, but still dry. Low-latitude steppe regions get more rain than deserts, but they are still quite dry. These regions usually get about 25 to 50 centimeters of rain in a year. To imagine it, think of a big bottle of water spread over a large area, not much at all. 2. Less rain than what evaporates. In these regions, the rain that falls is less than the water that evaporates or goes back into the air. Imagine if you poured a cup of water on the ground, but it dried up right away because it's so hot. 3. Unpredictable rainfall. The rainfall here is not regular or dependable. Some years there might be enough rain to grow crops, but other years there could be long dry periods with very little rain. Imagine if sometimes you got a small drink, but other times you went thirsty for a long time. That's how the rain behaves here. Different patterns of rain in different steppe areas. Steppe climates are in different parts of the world, and they get rain at different times of the year depending on where they are. Steppe regions, near the Mediterranean climate, where these steppes are near places with a Mediterranean climate, like areas in the north of Africa or near Europe. When it rains, these areas get most of their rain in winter.
Why winter rain?
During winter, wind belts shift, bringing rain clouds closer to these steppes. Middle latitude depressions, areas of low pressure that bring rain, move toward the equator, closer to these steppes in winter. So these steppes get small rain showers, mostly in winter. Example: imagine the rain clouds moving south for winter, just like birds do. So they pass over these steppe regions and give a bit of rain in winter. Short showers. Rain here falls in short bursts, like a quick shower, mostly clear weather. After the quick rains, the weather stays clear most of the time. 2 steppe regions near the savanna climate, where these are steppe areas near tropical grasslands called savannas, like in some parts of Africa and South America. When it rains, and these steppes get most of their rain in the summer. Why summer rain? During summer, the intertropical convergence zone, TCZ, moves closer to these steppes. The ITCZ is an area near the equator where winds meet and bring rain. When the ITCZ shifts toward these steppe regions, they get some summer rain. Example: imagine the ITCZ as a rain belt that moves up and down with the... In summer, it moves toward the steppes, bringing them some rain. Dry winters. In winter, these areas stay very dry because the ITCZ moves away. More rain than other steppes. These steppes near the savanna get more rain than those near the Mediterranean, but it's still not a lot. Greater variability. Rain in these areas is even more unpredictable. Some years they may get good rain, other years very little. Summary: low latitude steppe climates get more rain than deserts, but are still pretty dry. Different rainfall patterns based on location. Near the Mediterranean, rain in winter, short showers, mostly clear weather. Near the savanna, rain in summer, dry winters, more variable and unpredictable rain. Unreliable rain. Rain doesn't always come when needed, which can make farming or plant growth difficult. These regions are always balancing on the edge, not quite deserts, but also not quite wet enough for easy plant growth. Their rainfall patterns depend heavily on seasonal winds and shifting pressure zones in the atmosphere. All right, let's break down the natural vegetation and animal life of the low-latitude steppe climate, as if explaining it to someone totally new to the topic. Natural vegetation in low-latitude steppe climate. 1. What grows here? The main plants in low-latitude steppe climates are grasses. These grasses are usually short, not very tall, and have shallow roots that don't go deep into the soil. 2. Different plants in different areas. Closer to desert areas, drier margins. Here it's very dry, so grasses grow in small patches, not everywhere. The plants here have to survive with less water, so there aren't big grassy fields. Closer to humid areas. As we get closer to areas with more rain, we start to see more grasses covering the ground. These areas have enough grass to allow cattle, like cows, sheep and goats, to graze, eat the grass. 3. Types of plants. Stunted trees. These are small trees that don't grow very tall because there isn't enough water. Bushes and shrubs. Small woody plants that don't need a lot of water. Short grasses. Grasses that are low to the ground because the soil is not rich in water. Imagine a grassy field, but not the thick, tall grasses you see in rainy places. These are thin and patchy, with small bushes or shrubs scattered around. Animal life in low-latitude steppe. Climate 1. Why there are more animals than in deserts. Unlike the hot deserts, these steppe areas get a bit more rain, so there is more food, like grass and shrubs, for animals. Because of this, you'll find a greater variety of animals here than in the very dry deserts. 2. Types of animals you'll find. Grazing animals, herbivores. These animals eat the grasses and shrubs in the steppe areas. Examples include wild horses that live in the wild and feed on grass. Bison, large animals similar to cows, often found in herds. Antelopes, deer-like animals that graze on grass. Meat-eating animals, carnivores. These animals hunt and eat the smaller animals in the steppe. Examples include wolves, large wild dogs that hunt in groups. Foxes, smaller, clever animals that hunt alone. Coyotes, similar to wolves but smaller, are often found in North America. Reptiles. There are some reptiles in steppe areas, like snakes. These slither along the ground and are good at hiding in the grass. Lizards. Small animals that can live in dry areas and don't need a lot of water. Rodents. Small mammals. Small animals that live in the ground. They often dig burrows to stay cool and safe. Examples: mice and prairie dogs. 3. Animals commonly kept by people. In many steppe regions, people raise animals for food, wool, and milk. Common animals they raise are sheep for wool, milk, and meat. Goats, hardy animals that can live on limited grass. Summary: plants in the steppe are mainly short grasses, bushes, and a few small trees. Closer to deserts, dry side, grass is patchy. Closer to wetter areas, grass is thicker and can support cattle.
Animals.
More animals than deserts because there's more rain and more food. Includes grazers like wild horses and bison, predators like wolves, and smaller animals like snakes and rodents. People often raise sheep and goats here because they can live on limited food. This is a place where life has adapted to live with limited water. The plants stay short and tough, and animals like grazing animals, carnivores, and reptiles all find ways to survive with just the grasses and shrubs available. Sure, let's break down the middle latitude steppe climate even more simply. I'll focus on each part to make it as clear as possible. Understanding the middle latitude steppe climate. 1. Location. Where are middle latitude steppes found? Middle latitude steppes are found between deserts and wetter climates, so they act like a transition between very dry areas and areas with more rain. These steppes are mostly found in the central parts of continents, especially in North America and Asia. For example, in North America, they stretch from Canada down into the United States. Number 2, continental climate. What does interior location mean? Middle latitude steppes are far from oceans, so they don't get the cooling effect that coastal areas have. This is called continentality, meaning the climate is strongly affected by being deep inside a continent. Temperature in middle latitude steppes. 1. Cold winters. Winter here is cold, much colder than in the low latitude steppes. This is because the steppes are further from the equator and their location deep in the continent doesn't keep them warm. Example, in Semipalatinsk, Kazakhstan, the average temperature in winter can go as low as -12 degrees Celsius, which is very cold and often below freezing. In Laramie, United States, January temperatures are around the 6.7 degrees. 2. Warm summers. Summer in these steppes is warm and sometimes even hot. Because the air is dry, there's nothing to hold in the heat, so it gets quite warm during the day. Example, in some places like Tashkent in Central Asia, the temperature in the warmest month can go above 27 degrees. 3. Big annual range. The difference between winter and summer temperatures is very large. This means there's a big change from season to season. This is called a big annual range of temperature. 4. Daily temperature changes. In the middle latitude steppe, the temperature also changes a lot in one day. So it might be hot during the day, but get very cool at night. This is called a large diurnal range, which happens because the air is dry and doesn't trap heat well. Precipitation in middle latitude steppes. 1. Amount of rain. Middle latitude steppes get more rain than deserts, but it's still not a lot. They receive about 20 to 50 centimeters of rain per year. This amount isn't enough to support trees or forests, but it's enough for grasses to grow. 2. Rain is unpredictable. The rainfall here is not reliable. Some years may be wetter, but other years could be very dry, leading to droughts. The rain pattern is uneven, which means that rain doesn't fall in a consistent way each year. 3. When rain falls, the timing of the rain depends on the location. Some areas in the steppe get most of their rain in the summer. Others get it in the winter from cyclones, large weather systems that bring rain or snow. So rain can come at different times, depending on where the steppe is located. Interesting weather patterns in middle latitude steppes. 1. Air masses. In middle latitude steppes, air masses, large pockets of air from both warm, tropical and cold polar regions can move in. This makes the weather change suddenly. It means you can go from warm to cold quickly or vice versa. 2. Winter weather, anticyclones and blizzards. In winter, these areas are often under anticyclones, which are high-pressure systems that make the weather dry and calm. Sometimes cyclones come in and bring snowstorms with strong winds. In North America, these snow-filled winds are called blizzards. Blizzards can make it hard to see and can be very dangerous. 3. Summer weather, dust storms. In summer, hot, dry winds can blow across the steppes, creating dust storms. These storms carry sand and dust, making the air feel scorching hot and often difficult to breathe. Summary. Key points of the middle latitude steppe climate. Location. In the middle of continents, between deserts and wetter climates. Temperature. Cold winters, warm summers, big temperature changes from season to season, annual range from day to night, diurnal range. Precipitation, more rain than deserts, 20 to 50 centimeters per year, but unreliable, with both dry and wetter years. Weather patterns, frequent changes due to tropical and polar air masses. Winter brings calm or snowstorms, while summer often has hot, dusty winds. This climate creates open landscapes with short grasses, often used for grazing animals like sheep and cattle. Trees are rare because the rainfall isn't enough to support them, and the harsh temperatures make it hard for large plants to grow. Absolutely. Let's go through this step by step in the simplest, clearest way. Understanding and natural vegetation and animals in middle latitude semi-arid regions. 1. What is a middle latitude semi-arid region? A middle latitude semi-arid region is an area that doesn't get a lot of rain. It's located between deserts, very dry areas, and wetter climates. These regions get more rain than deserts, but less rain than forests or grassy plains. 2. Vegetation in these regions, because there's little rain, only certain types of plants can survive in middle latitude semi-arid areas. These plants must be able to grow with very little water. Types of plants found here. 1. Short grasses. The grass in these regions is short because there isn't enough water for taller grasses or big plants. These short grasses are tough and can survive with low rainfall. Shrubs. Shrubs are small, bushy plants with strong roots to help them find water deep in the ground. Like short grasses, shrubs don't need a lot of water, so they're well suited for these dry areas. Examples of these grasslands. In North America, there's a famous shortgrass area called the shortgrass prairie. In South Africa, the shortgrass region is known as the veldt. 3. Uses of these grasslands. Since the grasslands have a lot of shortgrass, they are great for raising animals like sheep and cattle. Sheep and cattle ranches, big farms where animals are raised for meat, milk, or wool, are common in these regions. Now 4. People and lifestyle in these regions. Nomadic populations. Some people in Central Asia, like the Kyrgyz, have a nomadic lifestyle. This means they move from place to place instead of staying in one spot. The Kyrgyz move with their sheep and goats, looking for fresh grass to feed their animals. 5. Animals found in middle latitude steppe regions. Since there's not much water, only certain animals can live here. These animals are usually either grazers, they eat the grass, or carnivores, they eat other animals. Types of animals. 1. Grazing animals. These animals eat grass and other plants. Examples include sheep, goats, and sometimes wild animals like antelope. 2. Carnivores. Carnivores are animals that hunt and eat other animals. Examples include wolves or foxes that might hunt the smaller animals in the grasslands. Why these animals can survive here. Grazing animals can eat the short grass that grows here and they can go a long time without water. Carnivores are adapted to hunt these grazers and they don't need water as often as some other animals. 6. More facts about these grasslands. These areas are important for grazing livestock, farm animals like cattle and sheep. Central Asia's steppes have been well known for people moving with their animals to find new grass when one area's grass is used up. This way of life, where people move around with their animals, is called a nomadic lifestyle. Summary. Key points of middle latitude semi-arid regions. Climate. Little rain, more than deserts but less than forests. Vegetation. Short grasses and shrubs that can survive on low water. Uses. Great for sheep and cattle ranches. People use the land for grazing. Nomadic life. In Central Asia, people like the Kyrgyz move with their animals to find fresh grass. Animals. Grazing animals like sheep, goats, antelope, and carnivores like wolves, foxes are common here. This kind of climate and land makes these areas perfect for grazing animals and for people who live by moving their herds to find new food sources. Certainly. Let's go through the middle latitude desert climate BWK in the simplest way possible, step by step. 1. What is the middle latitude desert climate? A middle latitude desert climate is a type of desert climate found away from the equator, the middle part of Earth. These deserts are located in temperate or cooler regions of the world, not in the very hot areas. 2. How is it different from hot deserts? Hot deserts, like the Sahara, found in subtropical areas near the equator. They are hot all year round and have very little rain. Middle latitude deserts, like the Gobi Desert, found farther from the equator in areas with more seasonal changes. They have very cold winters. This is the big difference. They still get very little rain, but they have a cooler climate overall.
3.
Why do middle latitude deserts have cold winters? Location, they are farther from the equator in temperate regions, middle parts of Earth. No ocean nearby. These deserts are often far from oceans. Oceans can keep places warmer, but these deserts don't get that warmth. Higher altitudes. Some middle latitude deserts are at higher altitudes, elevations, which makes them colder.
4.
Examples of middle latitude deserts. Here are a few examples. Gobi Desert in Mongolia and China, Great Basin Desert in the western United States, Patagonian Desert in Argentina. These deserts are colder than hot deserts and experience snow or frost in winter.
Dash 5.
The key features of the middle latitude desert climate. Low rainfall. Like all deserts, these areas get very little rain, usually less than 25 centimeters, 10 inches per year. Cold winters. Unlike hot deserts, they can get really cold in winter. Temperatures may drop below freezing. Hot summers, even though they're cooler overall, they can still have warm or hot summers. Large temperature difference. These deserts can have a big difference in temperature between day and night and between summer and winter. What kind of plants and animals live here? Because it's dry and cold, only certain plants and animals survive here. Very few plants grow in these deserts. You might see cacti, shrubs and grasses that don't need much water. Plants here are tough and can survive both cold winters and dry conditions. Animals. Animals here need to handle cold and dryness. Examples include desert foxes, jackrabbits, and certain reptiles. Animals in these deserts often burrow underground to stay warm in winter and cool in summer.
7.
Why are middle latitude deserts important? Unique ecosystems. They support special plants and animals that are adapted to both cold and dry conditions. Climate study. Scientists study these deserts to understand how life adapts to harsh conditions. Human use. People use these deserts for mining, agriculture, if water is available, and tourism. Summary. Key points of middle latitude desert climate BBK. Location found in temperate regions away from the equator. Climate, cold winters, low rainfall, and a big difference in temperatures. Plants and animals, special types that can survive cold and dry conditions. Examples, Gobi Desert, Great Basin Desert, and Patagonian Desert. This middle latitude desert climate is interesting because it combines cold winters with desert dryness, creating a unique environment. The plants and animals in these deserts have special adaptations to survive in this unusual combination of cold, dryness, and limited water. All right, let's dive even deeper into the middle latitude deserts in the simplest way possible. We'll go over where they are, why they're so dry, and how the seasons affect them. Hashtag 1. What are middle latitude deserts? Middle latitude deserts are deserts located in the middle parts of continents, far from the ocean. Unlike hot deserts, which are found closer to the equator, these deserts have cooler temperatures. They also have very cold winters. 2. Where are middle latitude deserts found? These deserts are located inside large continents and are often surrounded by mountains. Here's where some of them are. Asia, Northern Hemisphere, Tarim Desert, located in China. Gobi Desert, located in Mongolia and China. Dzungaria Desert, also in China. Russian Turkestan, in Central Asia, near Russia. Central Iran, a desert region in Iran. All these deserts are found in the middle of the continent of Asia, far from the oceans. North America, Northern Hemisphere. Great Basin Desert. This is in the United States, in states like Nevada and Utah. South America, Southern Hemisphere Desert, found in Argentina, near the bottom of South America. 3. Why are these deserts so dry? Middle latitude deserts stay dry because of 3 main reasons: mountains blocking rain, extreme summer heat, and cold winter air. Let's look at each of these reasons. 4. Mountains block rain, the rain shadow effect. When moist air from the ocean, air that can bring rain, moves toward the continent, it hits mountains on the continent's edges. As this moist air rises up the mountains, it cools down and releases rain on the side facing the ocean. 2. Why does this matter? By the time this air crosses over the mountains to the other side, it has lost most of its moisture, rain. So the air that reaches the middle of the continent is dry. This dry area on the other side of the mountain is called a rain shadow. 3. Example. Imagine the Gobi Desert. The Himalayas and other mountains block the wet air from reaching it, making the area very dry.
5.
Extreme summer heat makes the air dry. During summer in these deserts, 1. Sunlight warms up the land. Because these deserts are in the middle of continents, far from water, the land heats up quickly in summer. 2. Dry air forms. The heat makes the air very dry. Without oceans nearby to provide moisture, there's no source of rain. 3. No rain in summer. This dry, hot air means that no rain clouds can form easily in summer, so the deserts remain very dry. 6. Cold winter air keeps the deserts dry. During winter in these deserts, 1. Cold polar air. In winter, cold air from the poles from places like Siberia in Russia or Canada moves down to these deserts. 2. Cold and dry. This polar air is very cold and dry. Because it's so cold, it can't hold much moisture, which means it doesn't produce rain. 3. Example, in places like the Great Basin Desert in the US, winters are cold and dry because of cold air moving in from northern regions. 7. Summary. Why are middle latitude deserts so dry? To summarize, these deserts are dry because 1. Mountains block the rain from reaching them, rain shadow effect. 2. Hot summers create dry air that doesn't form rain clouds. 3. Cold winters bring dry polar air that also prevents rain. 8. Examples of middle latitude deserts. Here's a quick list of some middle latitude deserts. Gobi Desert in Asia, Tarim Desert in China, Great Basin Desert in the US, Patagonian Desert in South America. 9. What makes middle latitude deserts different from hot deserts? Hot deserts like the Sahara are closer to the equator and are hot almost all year. Middle latitude deserts like the Gobi have hot summers but very cold winters. This big temperature change between summer and winter is what makes them unique. NAF 10. Review of key points. Middle latitude deserts are located in the middle of continents, far from oceans. They are surrounded by mountains that block rain. Hot, dry summers and cold, dry winters keep them very dry. Some examples are the Gobi Desert in Asia and the Great Basin Desert in the US. This detailed explanation covers the basics of middle latitude deserts, their locations, and why they're so dry. These unique deserts have both hot and cold seasons, unlike the year-round heat in tropical deserts. All right, let's go through everything about middle latitude desert climates in a simple way, step by step. We'll focus on understanding 2 main things: temperature and precipitation, rain and snow. These deserts are found in the middle of continents, far from oceans. They're different from hotter deserts near the equator because they have cold winters as well as hot summers.
Chapter 1.
Temperature in middle latitude deserts. Middle latitude deserts have big changes in temperature, both throughout the year, summer versus winter, and during a single day, day versus night. A. Seasonal temperature changes, summer versus winter. Hot summers and cold winters. During summer, it can get very hot in these deserts. During winter, it can get very cold, sometimes even below freezing. Why the big changes? These deserts are far from oceans, so there's no water nearby to keep the temperature steady. Land heats up and cools down quickly, which makes the temperature swing between hot and cold more noticeable. Examples of temperature range. In Turkle, Russian Turkestan, a place at 46 degrees, the temperature changes about 34 degrees from summer to winter. In Urga, Mongolia, at 48 degrees, temperatures go from 26 in January, cold winter, to 17 degrees Celsius in July, hot summer. That's a 44 degrees difference between the coldest and hottest times of the year. Compared to hot deserts, deserts closer to the equator, like the Sahara, stay warm all year, but middle latitude deserts experience both hot summers and cold winters, so their temperatures change a lot more. B. Daily temperature changes, day versus night. Big swings in one day. In these deserts, the temperature can be hot during the day and cold at night, all within 24 hours. This happens because there's very little moisture in the air. Without moisture, there's nothing to trap heat, so the ground cools down quickly after sunset. Example, in Patagonia, South America, Near the coast, the temperature change within a day isn't as extreme because the ocean nearby keeps things milder. But in most middle latitude deserts, the difference between day and night can be big. Precipitation, rain and snow in middle latitude deserts. These deserts get very little rain and snow, which is why they stay dry. Hatshah A. Why are these deserts so dry? 3 main reasons. 1. Winter anticyclones. In winter, high-pressure systems called anticyclones sit over these areas, keeping skies clear and dry. High-pressure systems push clouds away, which reduces chances of rain. 2. Surrounded by mountains. Many of these deserts are surrounded by mountains that block moist air from reaching the desert. The air rises to go over the mountains, loses its moisture as rain or snow on the other side, and then comes down dry into the desert. 3. Far from oceans. These deserts are in the middle of continents, far from oceans. Oceans are big sources of moisture, water vapor, but because these deserts are far away, they don't get enough moisture to form rain clouds. Extra drying effect. When the few rain-carrying winds do make it to the desert, they come down the mountains, get compressed, and warm up. Warm air holds moisture, so this process dries the air out even more before it reaches the desert. B. When do these deserts get rain? Winter precipitation. Some deserts close to areas with Mediterranean climates get most of their rain and snow during the winter. Example, in Russian Turkestan, Iran, Persia, and Afghanistan, winter rain and snow come from passing storms. February, March, and April are the wettest months in places like Merv, Tehran, and Quetta, with about 50 to 60% of their rain falling in these months. When snow melts in spring, rivers in these areas can flood with the extra water from the melting snow. Summer precipitation in interior deserts. In the middle of big continents, like Mongolia, the Gobi Desert, Tarim, and Zungaria, most rain falls in summer. Example, in Urga, Mongolia, about 84% of the rain falls in summer. This rain is often caused by convection. The sun heats up the ground, causing warm air to rise, which brings clouds and rain. Unpredictable rainfall. Just like in hot deserts, rain in these middle latitude deserts is unpredictable. One year might be drier or wetter than usual, so people can't rely on a consistent amount of rain.
NASA 3.
Summary of middle latitude desert climate. Temperature, hot summers and cold winters with large seasonal and daily temperature ranges. Middle latitude deserts have much bigger changes in temperature over the year compared to hot deserts closer to the equator. Precipitation. Very little rain or snow due to high-pressure systems, mountains blocking rain, and their location far from oceans. Some get winter rain, like Russian Turkestan, while others get summer rain, like Mongolia. Rain is unpredictable, so the desert remains mostly dry and arid. By understanding these basic patterns, we get a clear picture of why middle latitude deserts are dry and have such unique temperature and rain patterns. These factors make them very different from both tropical and low latitude deserts. All right, let's dive even deeper into the Mediterranean climate in a very simple way. We'll go step by step to understand each part, the seasons, why the weather is like this, and some extra details. What is the Mediterranean climate? The Mediterranean climate is a type of weather pattern found in certain parts of the world. It's known for having 2 main things: hot, dry summers, almost no rain, mild, rainy winters, cooler and with some rain. Because it's mostly sunny and comfortable, it's often called the resort climate, the kind of place people like to visit for vacations. Where can we find the Mediterranean climate? You can find the Mediterranean climate in specific regions around the world. Here are the main areas. Around the Mediterranean Sea, countries like Spain, Italy, Greece, and Turkey. West coast of the United States, mainly California, places like Los Angeles and San Francisco. Central Chile in South America, Southwest Australia, Western Cape of South Africa. Main features of the Mediterranean climate. Hot and dry summers. Summers are very hot. During summer, temperatures are high, which means it's warm or even hot in these regions. No rain in summer. Summers are also dry. There's usually little or no rain. Very sunny. All right, let's explore the Mediterranean climate step by step in the simplest possible way so you can understand it completely. I'll explain what it is, where it's found, why it's like that, and what makes it unique. What is the Mediterranean climate? The Mediterranean climate is a special type of climate found in just a few places around the world. Here's what it's known for. Hot, dry summers with almost no rain. Mild, wet winters with cooler temperatures and some rain. It's called Mediterranean climate because it's common around the Mediterranean Sea, like in Spain, Italy, and Greece, but it's also found in a few other places globally. Where is the Mediterranean climate found? The Mediterranean climate exists between 30 degrees and 40 degrees latitude, both north and south of the equator. It's found in 5 main areas around the world, specifically on the western sides of continents. 1. Around the Mediterranean Sea, countries like Portugal, Spain, Italy, Greece, Turkey, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and parts of Libya. 2. California, USA, particularly the central and southern California coast. 3. Central Chile in South America. 4. Cape Town area of South Africa. 5. Southern and southwestern coasts of Australia. Why is the Mediterranean climate found in these places? 1. Location near oceans. These regions are on the western sides of continents and near large bodies of water like the Mediterranean Sea or the Pacific Ocean. The ocean winds help control the climate, making summers dry and winters mild. 2. Effective oceans and mountains. The Mediterranean Sea moderates the climate around it, bringing milder temperatures inland. In places like California and Chile, coastal mountains trap the moist air from the ocean, creating a rain shadow effect. This means the areas on the other side of the mountains, the leeward side, are drier. 3. Size of the continents. On continents like Africa and Australia, this climate only appears in small coastal areas because those continents aren't very wide in the 30 to 40 degrees latitudes. So, the Mediterranean climate only covers a small part of these places. How does the Mediterranean climate work? This climate has a unique seasonal pattern that changes with the movement of pressure belts and wind patterns. Here's how it works in both summer and winter. 1. Winter, rainy season. During winter, the pressure belts and wind belts shift toward the equator, closer to the middle of the Earth. This shift brings westerly winds and polar fronts to Mediterranean areas, which bring cyclonic storms, rotating air systems, and rain. This means that Mediterranean regions get most of their rain during the winter. 2. Summer, dry season. In summer, the subtropical high-pressure belt moves toward the poles, closer to the top and bottom of the Earth. Mediterranean areas come under the influence of this high-pressure system, which brings dry, sinking air. This dry air stops clouds from forming, which means no rain falls during summer. So, during the summer, Mediterranean regions are hot and dry, but in winter they're cooler and wetter. What makes the Mediterranean climate special? 1. Seasonal climate change. In summer, Mediterranean regions have a dry tropical climate due to high-pressure dry air. In winter, they have a wet, mild climate, similar to middle latitude regions because of the westerlies that bring rain. 2. Limited distribution. The Mediterranean climate only covers 1.7% of Earth's land area, so it's very rare. Most areas with this climate are near oceans or seas, which help moderate the temperature and bring rain in winter. 3. Popular tourist climate. This type of climate is sunny, warm, and pleasant, which is why people often visit these places for vacations or relaxation. Example of seasonal changes in the Mediterranean climate. Let's break down a year in a Mediterranean climate like in California or Italy. Summer, June to August in the Northern Hemisphere. It's hot and very dry with temperatures rising and no rainfall. This is perfect beach weather. High pressure air from the subtropical belt blocks rain, keeping the skies clear and sunny. Winter, December to February in the Northern Hemisphere. It's cooler with temperatures dropping but still mild. Westerly winds bring rain, so this is when most of the rain falls. This pattern repeats every year. creating a predictable and enjoyable climate. Summary: 1. Mediterranean climate, hot, dry summers and mild, rainy winters. 2. Found between 30 degrees and 40 degrees latitude on the western sides of continents. 3 key regions around the Mediterranean Sea: California, central Chile, Cape Town, and parts of Australia. 4. How it works. Winter brings rain with westerly winds. Summer is dry because of high-pressure systems. 5. Rare climate. Only 1.7% of Earth's land has this climate, mostly near oceans. This is why Mediterranean climates are unique and desirable for living or vacations. They have the perfect balance of sunshine, warmth, and mild winters. All right, let's take a close, simple look at natural vegetation in the Mediterranean climate. I'll explain what types of plants grow in this climate, how they survive, and why they are the way they are. Why plants in the Mediterranean climate are different. In the Mediterranean climate, the summers are extremely hot and dry. This means there isn't much water for plants, especially in summer. So the plants here have had to adapt in order to survive in this tough climate. They've developed special features to conserve water and deal with the dry summer. Types of plants and their special features. Plants in the Mediterranean region are usually drought resistant. This means they can survive long periods without water. Here are the main types of plants and the special ways they survive. 1. Sclerophyllous plants. These plants have hard, tough leaves. Sclerophyllous means hard-leaved. Their leaves are thick, shiny, and waxy on the surface. This waxy surface helps keep moisture inside, so the plant doesn't lose water easily. Examples include olive trees and certain shrubs that grow in Mediterranean climates. 2. Deep roots. Many of these plants have deep roots. These roots can reach down far into the soil to find water that's deep underground. This helps the plant get water even during the hot, dry summer. 3. Low scrubby bushes. In the Mediterranean, you'll see low tangled bushes growing close together. These form a thick protective layer of plants that cover the land. They are called different names in different parts of the world. Chaparral in California, USA. Maquis in France. Matorral in Chile. Mallee in Australia. These bushes are tough and can survive in dry conditions. 4. Grasses in winter. During the rainy winter season, grasses cover the hillsides and land, giving them a green look. However, when summer comes, the grasses dry up and turn brown due to the lack of water. Trees in the Mediterranean climate. 1. Evergreen trees. In areas with lower rainfall and poor soil, you'll find low-growing evergreen trees. These trees keep their leaves year-round. Examples include rosemary, myrtle, laurel, and arbutus. These trees are mixed with small shrubs and bushes. 2. Woodlands in moister areas. In places where it rains a bit more, like shady areas or valleys, there are denser woodlands with larger trees. These woodlands have trees like pine and oak, strong, sturdy trees, cedar, a tall evergreen tree, walnut and chestnut, which produce nuts. In some areas, you might also find deciduous oak, trees that lose their leaves in winter, and cork oak. Special plants in different Mediterranean regions. 1. Eucalyptus trees in Australia. In Western Australia, eucalyptus trees are very common. They are tall trees that are well suited to dry climates. 2. Cork oak in the Mediterranean. The cork oak tree is special because its bark is used to make cork, which is often used in wine bottles. This is very important for the wine industry in Mediterranean countries. Why goats, not cattle? 1. Grass isn't common. Grass doesn't grow well here because most of the rain falls in winter when it's cooler. In the dry, hot summer, grass doesn't survive. Since there's less grass, it's hard to raise cattle like cows because they need lots of grass to eat. 2. Goats are more common. Goats, however, are great at surviving on bushes and low vegetation, so you'll see a lot of goats in these areas rather than cows. This is why people in Mediterranean regions don't have a lot of milk, butter, or meat from cows. Instead, they rely on other foods. Fruits of the Mediterranean climate. The Mediterranean climate is ideal for certain types of drought-resistant fruits. Here's what you'll commonly find. 1. Olives. Olives grow very well in dry, hot summers. Olive oil is an important product made from olives, widely used in cooking. 2. Grapes for wine. Grapes are another plant that can handle dry summers. Grapes are used to make wine, which is popular in many Mediterranean countries. 3. Figs and vine. Figs and vine plants are also native to this climate and grow well without much water. 4. Irrigated citrus fruits. In some areas where farmers can use irrigation, watering the plants by hand or with pipes, they grow citrus fruits like oranges, lemons, and peaches. Summary of Mediterranean vegetation. 1. Drought-resistant plants. Most plants in Mediterranean areas have adapted to survive without much water in summer. They have thick leaves, deep roots, and hard surfaces to help them keep moisture. 2. Low shrubs and bushes. Low, tangled shrubs are very common and have different names depending on the region, like chaparral in California or maquis in France. 3. Trees in wetter spots. Where there's a bit more water, you'll find pine, oak, cedar, and other woodlands, especially in shady areas or valleys. 4. Fruits. Olive, grape, and fig trees grow well here, along with some citrus fruit if irrigation is available. 5. Livestock. Because grass doesn't grow well in the Mediterranean climate, goats are more common than cows, which means less milk and meat from cattle. Why Mediterranean vegetation is unique. This type of vegetation is special because it has to survive very hot, dry summers. Over time, these plants have adapted to store water, protect themselves from the heat, and grow even with limited rainfall. The Mediterranean climate is rare, so this unique vegetation is only found in a few parts of the world.